So when did you start taking up art?
About 1995. I was sad, and I like animals, so I started drawing animals and slapping them up all over my house just to make me happy. And my friends would come over and say, gee, you ought to do that professionally. I said, no, I retired when I was 49. But obviously it didn't stick.
I don't think you're ever going to retire. You probably have another career coming after this. But you're drawing animals. I notice a lot of your artwork contains rabbits.
Yeah.
Right, and obviously it's some reference to White Rabbit.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And a very big hit song you have.
Well,
when you
I'm
were
very
Jefferson
close
Airplane.
to that story because it
the Alice in Wonderland story.
Yeah, it lines up with my own life.
In
She
what
comes
way?
out of very straight Victorian England. I come out of the really straight 50s in America. Then you go into the 60s, and it's like diving down that rabbit hole into a nut farm. And she is the only young girl in all those fairy stories that doesn't have some Prince Charming saving her. She has to do it herself. So I think it's real good to read that to little girls, and then maybe you can pull out Cinderella or something, or change it around, because all those stories about, magic slippers, and, you just think... And there's a whole lot of women, particularly where I live in L.A., who want some guy to take care of them. And they go to lunch, and I think, God, you're boring. It isn't about that. You're a human being, and you find out what you can do and what you like, combine those, and you'll probably be okay. Then you get together with somebody else, a guy or woman, whatever your proclivities are, and you get together with somebody else who also has something they like to do and want to work on, and then it's two people together. Nobody's saving anybody. I don't like guys who want to be saved, and I don't like girls who want to save your own ass.
Exactly. So the drawings of the White Rabbit.
I hope this isn't going to be on the Disney Channel because I have a really foul mouth. It's attractive. My mother used to say, Grace, you talk like a truck driver. And nobody swore. She didn't swear. My friends, I just have always thought it was funny.
Have you always had this type of strong personality as a child?
Yeah.
You grew up with siblings?
Well, my brother was born when I was 9, so basically I was an only child for 9 years. And then he was born, but I didn't really have to do much about him. I babysat with him once in a while, but I'm not... You can ask my daughter, I'm not really the Italian mother type. I'm of Norwegian extract, and they used to refer to Janice as being hot, and me as being, the ice princess or something. Hot mama.
Janice Joplin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Janet. We were diametrically opposed. She was singing the blues, and I'm singing straight ahead white hard rock. So there's a difference in personality. And I don't like to try and imitate somebody else by singing the blues. How can I sing the blues? I'm a white guy. My father was a banker. They stayed together until, I didn't have a hideous life. I couldn't have imagined a better life. So I'm going to sit around, oh, baby, I feel so bad. No, I don't feel bad. The only time I feel bad is when I have a hangover. And I haven't had a hangover for about 11 years. So, 10 years.
Mm-hmm. So with that kind of background, how would you then describe the type of artwork you do?
It relates to either people I knew, animals that I like, stories that I feel close to. I'll do nudes because I like they're primarily women because of the shape, the way they're round. They aren't skinny women. They're round. I like that, drawing the round. It's kind of a neat thing to do. And I do some, what do they call that? When somebody else asks you to draw it, and I've drawn a complete blank. Somebody else asks you to draw it, it's a... one woman said, she called my agent and said, I want a rabbit on the Golden Gate Bridge from the viewpoint of China Beach in San Francisco. Now, fortunately, I lived right over China Beach in that house I was talking about before, so I knew what she was talking about. I thought, a rabbit in the Golden Gate, okay. So I did it. Like, if it's goofy like that, I'll do it. But if people say, I want a portrait of my Uncle Fred, Ain't doing it.
Let's talk about, for instance, the one that's behind you. That's from Monterey.
That's Monterey Pop.
That's Monterey Pop, which
the Monterey
was
Pop Festival.
What year was that?
67, I believe.
Okay, and those are some of the musicians that performed at Monterey Pop.
Yeah, the only two people who weren't actually there are Mahatma Gandhi and Alice in Wonderland. Okay. I've stuck them in because they have to do with what we were aiming at, which is resistance, passive resistance, and Alice in Wonderland I relate to. So it's my drawing. I'll stick anybody in there that I want to.
Who wrote that song, by the way?
Which?
White Rabbit song.
I did.
You wrote it?
Yeah. So, if you borrow from two geniuses, Lewis Carroll and Ravel, it's sort of half-assed Bolero and half-assed Alice in Wonderland. You're probably going to come up with something good, whether you like it or not.
Okay, can we point out who some of the
left to right
figures are? Yeah.
Left to right is generic drug dealer. Okay. Our drug dealers were actually our friends. They weren't like slime balls with Uzis from Panama, you know.
Right.
Janis
Joplin.
Yeah. Marty Ballin, Jorma Kaukonen, Mahatma Gandhi, Jack Cassidy, Otis Redding, Cass Elliot, Pete Townsend, generic groupie, Roger Daltrey, Grace Slick, Jerry Garcia, David Crosby, Keith Moon, Neil Young, John Phillips, Ravi Shankar, Jimi Hendrix, Ben Fong Torres, and Brian Jones, and Wavy Gravy. Now the rest of the people are people who were sort of, that's taken when it was sort of a rehearsal. We came in and we set up the instruments, see how they played. So there's a party truck in the background setting up chairs and stuff like that. But that was the best of all those festivals, and we played three of them: Woodstock, Monterey Pop, and Altamont. Now Altamont's obviously hideous, but so was Woodstock, basically. I didn't get to see anybody because the roads.
But you see the movie.
The roads were screwed up, so the bands had to stay in the hotel. And then they'd have a helicopter come and get you about a half an hour before you're supposed to play, drop you off at the stage, you play, then the helicopter takes you back to the hotel. So it was like this muddy kind of deal. And playing is always fun, but we were on the stage. We were supposed to go on at 9 o'clock at night, and they screwed up somehow. So we were on a stage, no bathroom, till 6 o'clock in the morning. Then they say, okay, go on. So you go on. Fortunately, I was in my 20s, but... And you can sort of do that if you have some drugs and so forth, or watermelon or whatever we had. But we played at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of a dumb time to play rock and roll. So I didn't think Woodstock was all that great. It was just big. Everybody in this country, Americans always like big stuff. It's so it's big, so everybody thinks it was marvelous. And I suppose it represented something. But apart from that, as an actual event, it wasn't marvelous. It was raining all the time. They had to keep telling people to stop climbing on the towers. They could get electrocuted. I mean, that's not fun, But Monterey Pop was absolutely perfect. The weather, the way it was arranged very well. It's not Irving Azoff. Who was it? A producer from L.A. and John Phillips. And they really did a good job on it. All the stuff that was sold in the little stalls was not corporate. It was all handmade belts and what have you. And you could actually get to a bathroom within about 4 minutes. And there was enough room for everybody, and nobody, even the cops were good. So that was the best of any of the festivals I played.